Hello, today we're going to be doing a review on the Pentium G3220 and its Intel HD graphics. So, let's get started. So, for specs, we have a Pentium G3220 with its HD graphics. We also have 8GB DDR3 clocked at 1333 and a 500GB hard drive. So, for Counter-Strike Source, I've put most settings on medium, a few on high and a few on low, and I've anti-aliasing set at 2x MSAA. So, while on 1366 by 768, I had an average of 89 FPS, which is more than playable. Now, at 1920 by 1080, I had an average of 53 FPS, which is, again, more than playable. Now, I'll give this game a final score of a 9 out of 10. It ran a lot better than I expected. Even though it is a game 2004, I still was expecting the CPU to struggle somewhat on it, but no, it held up really well. So for Half-Life 2, I've run the same settings in Counter-Strike Source. They both run the same engine, so might as well run them on the same settings. So at 1366 by 768, we had an average of 92 FPS. Again, easily playable. I wouldn't even complain about this. Now at 1920 by 1080, we have an average of 50 FPS. Easily playable. I wouldn't even complain. Now I'm going to give this game the same score as I gave Counter-Strike Source, a 9 out of 10. They run the same engine. I don't know why he's expecting a difference. I thought CSS would have ran better. I don't know. Now, I couldn't really find any settings for it for Terraria, so at 1366 by 768 we'd an average of 47 FPS, which is lower than I expected. This game ran the PS3, I don't know why it's running so badly. And again, it runs even worse. At 1920 by 1080 we'd an average of 26 FPS. Yikes, this game ran the PS3 like. Why did it run so bad? Now, I'll give this game a score of a 4 out of 10. I just don't think it ran good enough at 1080, which is kind of depressing. This game ran the PS3 really well, and now I boot it up on a crappy PC and it runs badly. Like, what? Now, for Crusader Kings 2, I ran it at a multi-sample level of 2, and I ran it at speed 4, settings that you'd expect to run on a PC like this. Now, at 1366 by 768, we'd an average of 36 FPS, which is easily playable. It's a map game. You don't really need your FPSs on this. Now at 1920 by 1080, we'd an average FPS 24. Again, it's a map game. You don't need much. Like, all you're doing is moving units. Now finally, I'll give this game a score of a 7 out of 10. Like, the frame rate wasn't amazing, but again, it's a map game. It's easily playable. All you do is move units. Now for the last game, I chose a Hat in Time, and I ran out the performance preset, so at least we still had shadows. Now at 1366 by 768, we had 21 FPS. This is just barely playable. I wouldn't even want to play this. Now, 1080, we got 13 FPS. This is literally unplayable. It was like a Google slideshow. Now, the final score I'll give this game is a 2 out of 10. It was just barely playable at 768 and wasn't at 1080. It's really depressing knowing this. I thought this game would run a lot better. Now, on the Blender benchmarks, on Monster I got a 7.857077, on Junk Shop I got a 3.407061, and on Classroom I got a 3.007768. Now, for the Cinebench, I got a single core score of 641, a multi-core score of 1105, and an MP ratio of 1.72. Now, from this benchmarks you've seen, it isn't a very good CPU. I wouldn't even recommend buying it if you could see it. Get it for its 10 cent they sell it in CEX. But yeah, thanks for watching. Any criticisms I'd like to see in the comments, as I basically just learning. Thanks for watching, and Schlongefall.